So Soundhound is currently up over 15% after I said this in yesterday's video. Take a listen. Now to the upside, if Soundhound can stay above current support at 1320, then I want you guys to look for a 12% run to 1525. Once again, this was another technical analysis with 100% accuracy. So if you're currently watching and you're not yet subscribed, do consider subscribing to one of the best YouTube channels when it comes on to technical analysis. Now, in my most recent video covering Coinbase, I said if the stock could not stay above 374, then look for a pullback to 347. And if that level breaks, then look for a further pullback to 307. Take a listen. Next, let's take a look at Coinbase, ticker symbol COIN. So current support for Coinbase is at 374. If the stock falls below that level, then look for a 8% pullback to 347. And if that level breaks, then look for a 19% pullback to 307. Guys, this is the result that I get from studying the markets day in and day out. Now, breaking news, NVIDIA and AMD is set to pay 15% of their China chip sales to the US government. Take a listen.
Chip trade in focus once again this morning on reports that NVIDIA and AMD plan to give the U.S. government a 15% share of the revenue from certain chips sold in China in exchange for access to that critical market. Now, this news follows separate pushback from NVIDIA over ongoing claims in China that its H20 AI chips pose a national security risk for Beijing. Eunice Yoon joins us now from Beijing this morning with the latest. What are you hearing?
Well, Andrew, Beijing has been messaging that the H20, which is a chip that China has had wanted, is potentially bad for the country. In a series of posts, the state media, social media account linked to state TV has been arguing that China should not buy this chip. Yuyan Tantian called the H20 far from safe for China. It says that NVIDIA needs to substantiate its claims that it has no so-called backdoors. It alleges that installing backdoors is a condition by the U.S. government to easing its export curbs and allowing NVIDIA to sell to China. Now, the export of the H20 to China has been restricted on national security grounds, and only recently the Trump administration had reversed that stance. Reports now, though, emerge that as part of that reversal, NVIDIA and AMD have agreed to pay the U.S. a 15% cut of revenues for China AI chip sales. Now, that allegedly involves NVIDIA's H20 as well as AMD's MI308 chip. In addition, the FT has been reporting that China has been pressing for the relaxation of export controls around another advanced high bandwidth memory chip as part of the discussions for the tariff pause extension. NVIDIA issued a couple of statements, one saying that NVIDIA does not have backdoors in our chips that would give anyone a remote way to access or control them. On the 15% cut, it didn't deny it, instead saying, we follow rules the U.S. government sets for our participation in worldwide markets. Guys?
Eunice, do you think people on the ground say that? I mean, one of the questions here this morning in New York, in the U.S., is, is President Trump being effectively bribing them? Is this some kind of extortion thing? We have obviously big questions about industrial policy. These are things that obviously don't exist in China because there is an industrial policy. But what is the impression there on the ground?
What is the discussion around it? Is that what you said? Sorry, my audio just cut out.
What I was suggesting is here in the U.S., the question this morning is, is Trump effectively extorting NVIDIA and AMD to sell these products into China, and in fact that they are a national security threat, and somehow because the U.S. government is getting paid off for this. I mean, this is the worst version of the sort of analysis. When I say worst version of the analysis, the most, what would you describe it as? Just the most critical version of the analysis.
The most Sorkin-like.
Not the most Sorkin-like. My question to you, Eunice, is what is the analysis on the ground there of this?
She's laughing.
Well, the analysis here is this a national security risk or is it not? Right. So people here have been hearing over and over that the reason why the H20 and other chips have not been sold to China is because of national security risks. Now it looks as though national security might not really be such a big problem because they're able to purchase or at least sell some of these chips for a cost. So that's kind of the big discussion here. There's also been quite a bit of speculation as to how this kind of plays into the Chinese ability to really push ahead and negotiate harder with the U.S. because it seems as though it's playing some hardball. If these reports are true, then it could mean that China is looking to squeeze off and potentially cut off a revenue stream of H20 chips that would be going to the Trump administration in exchange for possibly getting higher advanced HBM chips, which are important and have been banned under the Biden administration, but are important because they could help companies like Huawei develop their own AI chips.
Well, what does a Huawei think of all this? Meaning, do they lobby the Chinese government and say, please, please, please don't let these chips in because that creates a bigger opportunity for us? Or do they have a different view?
Well, Huawei isn't talking about it. The company is not talking about it. But of course, there's been a lot of discussion about what this would mean for Huawei. The Chinese are kind of, the messaging over the past several weeks has been kind of questioning the H20, saying, oh, is this really a chip that you can trust? Part of the messaging could be to raise questions about NVIDIA for local companies, so that local companies like Huawei, like SMIC, really start to develop their own chips, or that some of the customers of the H20, such as Alibaba or like the big AI companies, that they decide that, wow, we really should be sourcing from Huawei and really supporting our own industry. This is something that's been ongoing, this discussion of having their own chip industry for many, many years.
Now, going into the rest of the video, I have some important levels for you guys to watch on ticker symbol TSLA, Tesla, and ticker symbol INTC, Intel. Let's begin with Intel, ticker symbol INTC. So current support for Intel is going to be at 2062. If the stock cannot stay above this level, then look for a pullback to 1950. And if that level breaks, then look for a pullback to 1827. And from current price, that would be a decline of over 11%. Now to the upside, if buyers can keep the stock above 2062, then I want you guys to look for a 8% run to 2241. And if they can get above this level and use it as support, then look for a run to $24 per share. And from current price, that would be a return of over 16%. Overall, Intel is an American company, and I don't believe the US government will allow it to fail. So with that said, my price target for the stock remains at $38 per share. And from current price, we're looking at a return of over 83%. Next, we have Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA. So currently Tesla stock is running into resistance at 340. If buyers cannot get above this level, then look for a 8% pullback to 310. And if that level breaks, then look for a pullback to 277. From current price, that would be a decline of over 18%. Now to the upside, if Tesla stock can get above 340, then I want you guys to look for a 10% run to 373. And if buyers can get above 373 and use that level as support, then look for a run to 415. And from current price, that would be a return of over 22%. Overall, to the upside, my price target for Tesla remains at 494. Alright guys, if you liked today's video, leave a thumbs up and let's get this video out to more viewers. Also, if you're currently watching and you're not yet subscribed, do consider subscribing. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.